Okay, so picture this for a second. Imagine a practice so ancient that it predates modern medicine by literally centuries, but it actually acts as an incredibly advanced biological technology. Today, we're diving into the biology of prostration. We're going to look at this not just as a cultural or religious ritual, but as a full-blown, comprehensive system of physical and neurological therapy. We're talking about how specific physical movements can act as a profound, non-pharmacological intervention for the human body. It is absolutely fascinating.
But before we really get into it, I want to clearly lay out exactly where our information is coming from today. All the scientific findings, the systematic reviews spanning from 2009 all the way to 2024, and the medical frameworks we're about to unpack, they're all sourced directly from the book Why the Lifestyle of Islam Always Wins, and its companion website. We're just taking an objective, impartial look at the really intriguing biological analysis they've put together.
All right, so there's this really beautiful prophetic metaphor from the source text that asks, would you like to see a river at your doorstep in which you could bathe 5 times a day? Now, for the longest time, a lot of people just understood this as a spiritual metaphor, about washing away mistakes. But here's the kicker. According to the source material, this is actually a stunningly literal description of biological maintenance and physiological cleansing.
So to really wrap our heads around this, we kind of need to shift our whole paradigm. The source defines this daily practice as biological cleansing. Think of it as a totally non-pharmacological intervention, meaning no pills, no weird supplements. It functions as this intensive physical and neurological therapy that specifically targets your nervous and cardiovascular systems. It's a framework so precise you could theoretically integrate it into advanced global healthcare programs.
So here is our biological roadmap for today. First, we'll look at our internal electrical grid. Second, we're going to check out the plumbing system. And finally, the mechanical hinges.
All right, starting off with Section 1, the electrical grid. We're talking biogrounding and brainwaves.
Think about it. In our modern world, we are basically swimming in electromagnetic pollution. Cell phones, Wi-Fi, digital screens everywhere. And the source text argues all of this leads to a massive accumulation of excess positive charges right in our brain cells. Which brings us to this concept of grounding or earthing. Citing research from the Journal of Environmental and Public Health, the text explains that the Earth itself is like this giant, massive battery of negatively charged electrons. So grounding is just the simple act of reconnecting the human body to those surface electrons to neutralize all that excess charge we build up all day long.
Now here's where it gets really cool. Think about the exact mechanics of prostrating. When a person prostrates, they are placing exactly 7 parts firmly on the ground. The forehead, the 2 palms, the 2 knees, and the 2 feet. According to the text, doing this creates a full circuit connection. It essentially achieves a state of ground connection at a frequency that is unmatched in literally any other daily human activity.
And this comparison perfectly illustrates the real-world physiological secret behind what we often just call spiritual serenity. I mean, look at the contrast. Before grounding, you've got those excess positive charges causing neurostress and spiking your cortisol, the anxiety hormone. But during prostration, free electrons from the ground transfer up into the body, acting almost like natural antioxidants. They neutralize the cerebral cortex. This leads to electrical stability, perfectly balanced brain hemispheres, and a massive surge in relaxation hormones.
But wait, the text goes even further, detailing what it calls the Qibla secret. There's this pioneering study by the National Research Center showing that touching your prefrontal cortex, your forehead, to the ground acts as this ideal electrical discharge tool. And when a person faces the Qibla, or the Kaaba, they're actually aligning their entire body with the Earth's magnetic field lines. This alignment optimally speeds up the outward flow of those harmful, headache-inducing electromagnetic charges. It's basically a release valve.
Moving right along to Section 2, the plumbing system. Hydraulics and cerebral hemodynamics.
Okay, so we've got the electricity down. But what about the plumbing? I want you to ask yourself, how does gravity literally wash the human brain? Think about how manipulating gravity through specific, repeated physical positioning could actually act as a biological washing mechanism. The source asserts that this prayer routine is the only system out there that utilizes gravity in this exact, precise way to train our blood vessels.
It's essentially a programmed flow, and here's how it works step by step. First, simply going into the prostration position naturally raises the blood pressure in the carotid arteries that feed the brain. Second, this targeted intentional surge of blood pushes into all these tiny dormant capillaries that almost never get enough blood flow when we're just standing or sitting around.
And finally, this repeated daily flushing actually strengthens the walls of the blood vessels. The text even highlights systematic reviews from PubMed showing that this exact periodic flow protects against vascular dementia and significantly lowers the risk of strokes.
And honestly, it's not just the brain getting this VIP treatment, it is the entire vascular system. Let's talk about venous return. When a person kneels and sits between prostrations, they're compressing the deep veins in their legs and abdomen. That physical compression acts as a literal second heart. It pushes all that old blood that's been pooling down in your legs back up to the heart and lungs to be reoxygenated and purified. It's giving your actual heart a much-needed coffee break, which drastically reduces the chances of developing things like varicose veins or foot swelling.
And that brings us to our final section, number 3, the mechanical hinges. Basically, the biomechanics of joints and cartilage.
40%. Just let that sink in for a second. When we talk about the pure mechanical lubrication of the human body's roughly 360 joints, I really want to highlight this staggering stat from a 2024 ResearchGate study mentioned in the text. The research confirmed that regular worshipers have joints that are an incredible 40% more flexible than non-worshipers in their exact same age group. So, how is that mechanically possible?
Well, it all comes down to synovial fluid. Your vital joints, like your knees and ankles, aren't just going to stay smooth on their own. They actually require periodic movement to secrete this fluid to prevent them from wearing out. It's kind of like oiling a squeaky door hinge. The physical movement of rising from that prostration up to a full standing position and repeating that multiple times a day regularly compresses those joints and forces the secretion of that vital lubricating fluid.
Now, think about your spine. The cartilage in your intervertebral discs is super unique because it doesn't actually have blood vessels. It relies entirely on a physical, mechanical process of compression and expansion to essentially drink or absorb its nutrients like a sponge. The kneeling and bowing movements act perfectly as that pump. The text explains that guaranteeing this biomechanical pumping action multiple times a day ensures your cartilage stays fully nourished, which directly prevents painful conditions like herniated discs.
So when we synthesize all of this information from the source material, a really amazing picture starts to form. By combining electromagnetic physics, hydraulic blood flow, and joint biomechanics, the text concludes that this practice reveals a totally ingenious, round-the-clock maintenance system. It positions prostration as not just an act of devotion, but as arguably the ultimate biological technology perfectly designed to maintain the human machine.
Which leaves us with a pretty massive question to chew on. If an ancient practice, performed for millennia, inadvertently serves as the absolute ultimate maintenance protocol for our brains, our blood vessels, and our joints, how might we profoundly rethink our own daily physical routines? Like, how much is our modern super sedentary lifestyle actually costing our neurological and biological health? And more importantly, what intentional movements could we adopt today to get it back? Thanks for hanging out and exploring this incredibly fascinating topic with me. Keep learning, keep moving, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.